Good evening to you, viewers. Thanks for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, where we are broadcasting live from the nation's economic capital city, Douala. Innocent as in a headline, civilians in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon continue to suffer the wrath of armed separatists and government forces. Killings, torture, burning of houses, and sexual violence are daily occurrences in the northwest and southwest regions. This is according to researchers at Amnesty International in a new report they published on Tuesday. And also in this edition of the newscast, we'll be talking about the national vaccination campaign against rising cases of measles and rubella diseases in Cameroon that has been launched across the nation. The campaign, running from today, July 5th to the 9th, targets children between 9 months and 5 years. Our guest today will be dwelling on the myth people have about vaccination. Good evening. Once more, thanks for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television. First, the human rights organization Amnesty International, in its new reports published on Tuesday, says killings, burning of houses, as well as torture, including sexual abuses, continue to gain grounds in the two English-speaking regions of the country. They say separatist fighters and government forces are masterminding these atrocities. They also note in the report that the government of Cameroon has not been exercising its responsibility to put an end to these armed conflicts. We have details in this report compiled by Mala Glory.
These are civil servants that were held in captivity for over a month. They were arrested by separatists in the ongoing Anglophone crisis. In a video circulating on social media, Honorable Ajembeng and other victims recount their ordeal in the hands of alleged separatists.
We were arrested after a section conference that we had in Andengi on the 19th of May and followed up with the 20th May celebration. On the 21st, we left and they're going back to town. And they were arrested on the way around Guapon in Bengu subdivision. Because we have spent 1 month, 3 weeks in Numben, moving from one camp to the other. And we thank God that today was almost the last day for them to execute us.
This is just one of the many atrocities decried by the Amnesty International in its recent report. Away from the kidnappings, they also mention killings, acts of torture, rape, burning of houses, and other crimes committed in the Anglophone regions. Amnesty International, in its report published on July 4, 2023, it details rampant human rights violations and other crimes under domestic law committed by multiple actors in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. The report says the population caught between the army, armed separatists, and militias in the northwest Cameroon exposes crimes committed by armed separatists, militias, and members of the defense and security forces in the northwest region. It also highlights the urgent need for protection for those denouncing the atrocities inflicted upon the population. Amnesty International also says the Mbororo Fulani militias have also been involved in killings and the destruction of homes in the northwest region, in some instances with the help of the Cameroon troops. A group of approximately 45 armed people described as Fulani and Hausa, accompanied by Cameroonian soldiers, carry out mass destruction in some villages in the northwest region. The report also highlights grave human rights violation perpetrated by the defense and security forces in the northwest region. According to the testimonies of displaced victims in Bafoussam and Douala, crimes included extrajudicial killings, rapes, and other sexual violence against women. The response to the crisis from government authorities has further involved human rights violations, as many were arbitrarily arrested and detained. The authorities' attempt to curb freedom of expression and the right to seek information have also aggravated matters. Amnesty International thus called on the Cameroonian authorities to investigate in human rights violation and other crimes under domestic law committed in the context of the armed violence in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon.
Will the population of the northwest region of Cameroon finally get out of the nightmare they face on a daily basis plying the Babaju-Bamenda roads as promised by the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Kanu-Jomese, who is in the northwest region for supervision of works ongoing on the Bamenda-Babaju roads. He assured the population that the roads will be constructed and delivered by the end of 2023. We have more with Mo Stella, who also saw how the population welcomed the minister, and he also expressed satisfaction with the ongoing works.
It is often said that where a road passes, development follows. In the case of the Bamenda-Matazam stretch of road, the construction work is on and the expectations of the locals are high.
We are coming for here, we are going up, we are going Bamenda. I just take my motor, suffer no go there again for road high. And transport, me the highway for reduce transport because the kiwi postcard transport. And they say na room maker, we see say they go fix the room, they go reduce transport and LAW too.
You know, the overget accident. Tomorrow be the next week as patient they want go hospital. The road is shake, we will get problem again. So now we no get to be happy as the road become.
The Matazam Bamenda stretch of road has for years been a nightmare for road users. They pay highly for transportation, yet spend long hours on the road due to its poor nature. During a working visit to assess the level of work on the Matazam Bamenda stretch, the Minister of Public Works assured the population their ordeal will soon be history.
The decision of the head of state is that whenever we are constructing the road, we should also make sure that the beneficiary population gets something. That is why we have more than 130 kilometers of communal roads to be constructed. You could see that Santa Avenue Road will be tarred in order to disenclave the agricultural production area.
With its huge agricultural potentials, the Santos subdivision is in dire need of secondary roads to ease the transportation of farm produce in particular.
I am pleading to His Excellency the Minister of Public Works to extend roads from my 11 to Awing, my 12 to Mbe Village, Hausa Quarter to Balian Village, and Matazam to Pinyin Village. That will help the farmers feel east, the farmer at the suburb feel east to transfer their crop at the central town.
Across the northwest region, the road network situation is in a pitiable state. Local authorities continue to plead with the Minister of Public Works not to wait until communities are split by roads before they are constructed.
That was Mo Stella, Northwest Regional Correspondent, reporting there. Locals along the Bafang-Melong Road say their efforts employed to maintain the national road for years today can no longer sustain the rapid degradation of the roads. They say the bridge over the River Camp might soon collapse with enormous damage. They are looking up to Yaoundé for sustainable solutions, as Formi Armstrong-Sana reports.
A baptism by immersion is one of the rituals awaiting travelers on the Bafang-Melong stretch of the national road. Locals say the large potholes get deeper each time it rains. The bad state of the road has distorted its original size and form in most parts along. Drivers say the effect on the mechanical state of their vehicles is unbearable. Local sources say that the frequency of accidents on the stretch has increased. They are also worried about the stage of the Camp Bridge threatening to collapse. the major bridge on the River Cam, linking the west region of Cameroon to the rest of the country on that stretch. They say that local effort employed to maintain the road so far can no longer sustain its advanced rate of degradation. They look up to Yaoundé for a sustainable solution.
On to health, a sensitization and vaccination campaign has been launched in the far north region of the country to help fight against a number of diseases like poliomyelitis, cervical cancer, and others, which have been troubling the health of the population. Asia Lucy Liengo.
Poliomyelitis, malaria, cervical cancer, and other sexually transmitted diseases are health problems faced by the population of the far north region. Recently, the number of adults, children suffering from these diseases have increased. As a means to reduce the number of affected persons, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Youth Affairs Civic Education have launched a vaccination campaign across the far north region. During the campaign, screenings carried out show that most women in the far north region have complications associated with cervical cancer. Medics say they have as objective to administer vaccines on at least 60% of women.
Il y a une aubaine pour notre district pour qu'on puisse rattraper la couverture vaccinale au moins à 60% à la fin du premier semestre 2023.
It was also an opportunity for parents to be sensitized on the importance of vaccinating their children against poliomyelitis, which is a disabling and life-threatening disease.
Je voudrais que les parents se mobilisent, aux côtés des pouvoirs publics pour que le maximum d'enfants puissent être vaccinés.
Many, like this young man, have been living with disabilities because they were ignorant of the importance of being vaccinated.
Si j'avais réussi à être vacciné, autant peut-être.
If I had the opportunity, I wouldn't be a handicapped person today.
C'est la poliomyélite qui m'a, n'est-ce pas, paralysé.
Several children during the campaign have received vaccines with the help of health workers who have as objective reaching many children as possible.
Parents in Kumba, Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon, have been called to make their children available for vaccination within the ongoing nationwide campaign against measles and rubella. The call was made by the Meme divisional assistant SGO, Mr. Cho Emmanuel, while launching the campaign in Kumba today. The national target is placed at some 5.5 million children. For me, Armstrong Sander has details.
The exercise in Kumba comes within the context of a nationwide vaccination campaign launched by the Ministry of Public Health, a campaign which comes in response to a recent increase in measles and rubella cases in Cameroon. Last year, 2022, for example, 10,000 measles cases were reported in the country with over 100 deaths.
To struggle to prevent and stop this epidemic, eradicate this epidemic in our division, Mene. I wish to encourage the parents to bring their children so that they should be vaccinated. On the other hand, I wish to encourage the medical teams that what they are doing, our eyes on them, and we only say.
According to the Ministry of Public Health, the campaign will launch from July 5th to July 9th, 2023 and will target an estimated 5.5 million children across the national triangle. Measles and rubella are highly contagious disease that can cause serious health complications including death. Measles can lead to pneumonia, blindness and other health complications, while rubella can cause birth defects in unborn children.
And now we talk sports, issues related to the Jalakwan Henry Jr.'s case, to let you know that he has finally resigned as a fourth vice president of the Cameroon Football Association, FECA Foods. The president of the Njala Kwan Sports Academy also withdrew the sports or the football club from all sports activities or competitions organized by Feka Foods. He has also suspended studies at the center. Meantime, sports promoters in the southwest region of the country have issued a motion of support for President Samuel Etofis, as president of Feka Foods, and they say they are not supporting anyone who is there to bring disorder in the football family of the southwest region. And now we have a reaction from the national president of the Popular Action Party, Njang Dennis, who stands by Njala Kwan Henry Jr. Take a listen.
I saw that as being embarrassing. It's really shameful and disgraceful as well to football in Southwest, especially to the loving memory of a great icon like late Panjala. Panjala Kwan happens to be someone who has done a lot in football, developing football and other sporting activities in Southwest. I think he deserves, at least his memory, he deserves respect. The disassociation of those football promoters, it does not only tell, not only a devastating blow to the late memory of Njala Kwan, but to Cameroon as well. We remember that Njala Kwan, the late Panjala, has been one of those who have really done a lot. He single-handedly took Victoria United, alias Opopo, to first division. He owned when he was still alive, I'm sure he's still there, he owned the Njala Kwan Sports Academy and Anakada, and has developed a lot in other sporting activities. So to me, at this juncture, what is required by those who claim to promote football in Southwest was to join hands with Njala Kwan the Junior and seek a solution rather than pretending to be claiming unnecessary motion of support, maybe because of finding favor from Samuel Eto'o. I think Njala Kwan has been into football even before President of the Feka Food, Samuel Eto'o, started his football professional career. So I want to say that to stand by Njala Kwan Jr. for really upgrading the legacy of his father, for following the steps of his father. I'm sure that wherever his father may be now, should be very proud of Njala Kwan Jr. And I encourage him to continue in that spirit, because we need youths like that who stand tall in the midst of dysfunctioning and corruption, especially when things are not moving well. So it is sad for football in Southwest for honoring a man of such caliber who has done a lot to develop football in the entire.
Discover our guests on Talking Point in a jiffy. Good evening once more to you viewers. Thanks for joining us on Talking Points. Today we'll be having as guest Dr. Glory Befeke Epos Anye. She is a medical doctor at the Mboko Health District. She will be talking about measles and rubella, the myth people have as well concerning vaccine. It should be noted that today the national vaccination campaign has been launched across the national territory, and the campaign will effectively begin as from today, July 5 to the 9th. Good evening to you, Dr. Glory Befeke. Thanks for joining us. We first of all start by understanding from you how the vaccination campaign is carried by health personnel.
Mr. Innocent. First, there is sensitization. The health personnel trained. They go out door to door, getting the target population, sensitizing them. Given that this vaccination has been spread within 5 days, so presently in the field, you have those trained health personnel who are sensitizing the population towards getting the target group for this vaccine. Like in Boko district, the various health units have been organized in groupings, in various groupings, and effectively we are beginning tomorrow to start administering the vaccines.
Doctor, let me ask you this question that may sound bizarre for a reason. Does vaccination kill or has any side effects?
Right. No deaths have been recorded or registered from vaccinating a healthy individual. But we have had some side effects coming from some individuals with immunocompromised systems who received vaccine. So these health personnel are being trained. When they go out, they make sure before granting or administering the vaccine, they have to be sure that the immune system of the individual is okay. They have to get the temperature of the target population and equally pose certain questions if the individual is on some medications or not. So no deaths thus far have been registered. The measles vaccine is safe. We have some mild side effects that may come up, maybe fever, maybe a headache, and if the fever comes up, we tell the mothers what to do. They tape it sponge, the children, and after 2-3 days, if there's a persistence, they will have to give some antipyretics. So no deaths thus far have been registered. The vaccine is safe.
I ask the question because I have noticed that several times parents resist their children should not be vaccinated. Why these comportments? You certainly have come across them. What did they tell you?
It's a myth that the society has. Some parents will tell you Africa is a training ground for Europeans to test their vaccines. And so some of these myths, some will even tell you those vaccines will cause their children to be sterile, to be barren. Really, these are all myths. Vaccines are there to prevent some of these diseases that cannot be cured once it has been incurred, like the measles. It's a disease that once it manifests, treatment can only go for the symptoms. It cannot be treated, it cannot be cured, but just the symptoms can be managed. So the vaccines are there to prevent this disease from occurring. It's a matter of education. They are just myths. They are myths. So the population need to be educated that the vaccines come to prevent some of these incurable diseases from occurring in our society.
So to find out from you, how do you contain the situation?
Not at all, because I have studied it. Maybe if I had not gone to school equally, the medical school to study, I will equally fall in that category. So with the education I've had, it gives me, rather, when I get such comments, it gives me rather the opportunity to educate the population.
Vaccination against measles and rubella. First, tell us a little about these diseases and the vulnerable age group.
It's again a matter of educating the population. We educate the population, telling them without these vaccines, we can even register deaths. And I equally want to say that maybe most the information on deaths due to diseases, maybe like the measles disease, may be missing, because some of these cases maybe they don't get to the hospital for early diagnosis before even deaths. So the education is very important. Some children may have been dying in the society because parents don't get them early enough to the hospital for this diagnosis to be posed. And so they may start associating it to a kind of witchcraft. Education is priority.
And also, just to know, how is the vaccine administered as a whole?
Rubella is a viral infection. The other name for rubella is a German measles. It's caused by, there's a virus they call roof virus. And measles is also caused by a virus. They are highly contagious. The virus for the causal agent for the measles is known as a mobile virus. So both are highly contagious diseases that can be contacted from air droplets, respiratory air droplets. These diseases, given their route of contamination, even from a mere sneeze or a mere cough, you can see how virulent, how contagious this disease is. The vaccine comes in as a means of prevention, preventing the population from this disease and equally limiting its spread in the society. So the age group is between 9 months to 5 years. 9 months to 5 years. So with the national campaign out there, you see those coming to your doorpost will be asking or requesting information concerning this target population, those within 9 months to 5 years.
Doctor, what I really want to find out from you is how the vaccine is administered to these target age groups.
Not take these vaccines or vaccination program for granted, because once the disease manifests, there is no cure, but the symptoms and the signs are treatable. So parents should not take these vaccines for granted, because it's a means to prevent. They usually say prevention is better than cure. So it's a means to prevent these diseases from reoccurring in the society, because once it occurs, sometimes it's death. The side effects, the complications can result to death.
Well, thank you, Dr. Glory. You were expatiating there on why parents should not take the vaccine for granted, so the measles and rubella keep threatening the lives of children aged 9 months and 5 years. But you will certainly be dwelling more on how this vaccine is administered to children.
Within campaigns such as this, that will run from the 5th to the 9th of this July, with the governor in the littoral region out there now at the Edo district. You see those administering the vaccines, they will request for the left upper arm of the child subcutaneously. So the injection is administered on the left arm of the child, and is administered subcutaneously to every child within the age group, within the target group, 9 months to 5 years. Well, we have 2 doses of this vaccine that should be given to any individual in his or her lifetime. From 9 months, we should administer the first dose, 15 months the second dose. So if we have some children who are missing out, maybe due to unavailability of the vaccine at the time in the various districts, campaigns as such will come up, and such children should be fished out and this vaccine be administered upon them. Those who have already had 2 doses will not be vaccinated. Once 2 doses are being administered, the individual will be protected and covered for life.
Any idea on the prevalence rates of measles in your health district or the littoral region?
Littoral region, I will not be specific on the number, but the information reaching us is that it's on the increase, it's on the rise. Even as we consult daily in the hospitals, we see the signs, we see the fever, we see the maculopapular rash, which is non-vesicular. We see it related even to this coryza, which means reddish eyes and running nostrils. So sometimes those signs have been cropping up to tell us that the virus is in the air. For the ratings, I am not very, very specific, but it's on the rise.
Okay, apart from parental resistance, which are the medical factors favoring the prevalence rate?
Again, I will mention the unavailability sometimes of the vaccine, but we thank the government for making it possible that vaccines as such, catch-up vaccines as such, the campaigns as such be organized, and we are praying that such gesture should come up quite regularly, so that the children who have missed out on the 2 doses may be fished out and be granted or be administered these vaccines.
Before we part ways, kindly drop some recommendations to parents and the health families during this vaccination period.
On all parents out there nationally to receive all those health personnel who will be knocking at your doors at this moment, that all the myths that no, vaccine is to destroy our children's reproductive system, vaccine is to kill our children. No, those are myths. You should open your doors to the health personnel. You should make inquiries to be sure that your children, those within 9 months to 5 years, have received at least 2 doses. 2 doses of the measles, mumps, and rubella, because it's one vaccine administered within a single injection. So make sure your children have received them. If not, make sure you bring your children to the various health units close by you and open your doors to the health personnel. And the government should do this quite often. Thank you so much, Innocent.
As well, Dr. Glory Befeke Epos Anye, for joining or for accepting our invitation to be guest on this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television, of course, to talk about the national vaccination campaign against measles and rubella launched across national territory today. And of course, we'll be hoping to join you some of the times for information that will be coming from you health-wise. And ladies and gentlemen, want to also thank you for being part of this edition of the newscast. We're so glad and we're hoping to join you tomorrow for another edition, God willing. Have a nice evening.